For those of you who do catch up online with this class, and if you access it through Torah Media Atlanta, you should be aware that Yisrael Killian, who runs Torah Media Atlanta, reached out because donations to that site are down. For those of you who do take advantage of it, I would suggest making a donation online when you do use it so that he can continue that site.
A mitzvah sometimes to have meat. Sometimes a meat. No, not Shabbos, interestingly enough. Yeah. You're definitely, let me explain. When I say there's a mitzvah, there's two types of mitzvahs. There's called a mitzvah chiyuvis and a mitzvah kiyumis. A mitzvah chiyuvis means you have to do it. That's not what we're talking about, right? For example, a man has to wear tefillin, okay? Now, a mitzvah kiyumis means anytime you give tzedakah, you get the mitzvah, right? Anytime on a yontiv, if you eat meat and wine, you fulfill a mitzvah. You honored Shabbos with meat, if that's your way, or you can honor it with fish, whatever it is, right? If you like it, right? Then you fulfill a mitzvah of giving honor to it. That's not, so you got to make a very big distinction. When we say something's a mitzvah, it doesn't mean, right? And you fulfill mitzvah, you get credit for it. So, but if you're not eating meat because of health reasons, again, you can't digest, that's fine, it's 100% kosher, that's great, it's eating glot. However, if you're not eating it because you think the hierarchy of the world's upside down and that animals, you have to be more compassionate than the all-compassionate one, you got yourself a big problem. Okay, and this is what proves right here. There's no difference between eating vegetation and eating animals. We both need a verse in the Torah for that to grant us permission. Now, we have Shabbos, right? The first Shabbos, if you look at chapter 2, verse 3, Vayavarech Elokim es Yom HaShvi'i, Hashem blessed the seventh day, V'yikadosh Oso, He sanctified it, right? And from this verse, we have that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed the seventh day, and he sanctified it, that this is what we say in L'chadodi, that it's the Makor HaBracha, it is a source of blessing for the following week. Shabbos gives blessing to the whole next week. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed it, that's what it means. It became the source of blessing. And to that degree, a person keeps Shabbos. I say this in mystical books, that to that degree, a person keeps Shabbos. Not just halakhically, not just physically, but spiritually. It refrains, let's say, from talking about sports or politics and tries to learn as much or reflect on creation of the world, whatever it is, just reflect why we're here, whatever it is. Spirit, to that degree to keep Shabbos, to that degree will the rest of the week, the blessing will flow over in the rest of the week in the materialistic realm as well. Okay, any questions on this? Doubt it. That Shabbos is the source of blessing for the rest of the week. To that degree, you keep Shabbos, not just the physical laws, but, try to get into it and mechabed it, to honor it. To that degree, the blessing will flow to the rest of the week. The people used to come to Chafetz Chaim and ask him for a bracha. Give me, I'd be successful in business. Chafetz Chaim say, keep Shabbos. That's the makor bracha. That's the ultimate source of bracha. You keep Shabbos, your business will be successful in the week.
A lot of really religious people very poor.
Could be. I mean, they could be more poor if they didn't keep Shabbos, for all I know. They could be walking the streets, and it depends what you call poor. If you ask them, they may not say they're poor. Right? It's right. It's what a person considers poor. One person's bread is another person's chocolate mousse pudding.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
It's an interesting thing that the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one of his names is Shah. Well, Shah, then Dai, right? Shin, Dal, and then Yud, right? Which means for Dayenu, right? So, which means enough. That's a key word in the creation of the world because it means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides the proper enough limits, boundaries. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides the proper limits in creation. Human resources, suffering, compassion, all these things, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides these limits. In other words, that word refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what we know as Hashgacha Pratis, his personal supervision over everything in the world. And it means also, like Rav Shula used to say, it's like a mystery movie. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sprinkled just enough clues in the world that you can figure who done it. On the other hand, he didn't make it too obvious where there's no free will element. The world is set up in such a fashion that a person can look at the world and realize it's impossible that this came by accident. There has to be a designer, right? Right? You have to be a bigger person of faith not to believe that Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world than a person that believes it. Because how can you see everything has a design to it, right? It's like impossible to the millions of species of all these things and colors and the way the cycles of events. Okay, or a person could say, coincidence, accident, whatever it is. So that's the free will element, and that is represented by that name of Hashem. This also relates, this idea of free will, when Adam is created, the word that's used is Na'aseh Adam. Now this is a tremendous, Na'aseh is a plural. Let us make man. All the, heretics go, they love this. What? Yeah, dual, triple headers, whatever it is, they call that. It's not one God, Chalila. Let us, who is like Shem talking to, let us make man. So Rashi tells us that to teach humility, Hashem consulted with his celestial court, the angels, whatever this means, right? They need to teach us, many times the Torah says that Kadosh Baruch Hu looked down at Sodom. Why? Is Kadosh Baruch Hu any more up than down than sideways? No, to teach a human judge to go down, investigate the matter before pronouncing judgment. Many examples of this. Amphorisms? Is that what it's called? I think there's amphorism, I think it's called. I'm not allowed to say words more than 4 letters. For those of you new in the class, I've been limited because of my upbringing in the plains of Texas. So this language, plural, what they say on it, even though it opens up a door for heresy, but to teach this valuable lesson of humility, Hashem says it's worth it. Whoever wishes to err, let them err. In other words, that's the wording. Whoever wishes to err, let them err. In other words, a person is really sincere and seeks the truth, he'll see it. And if one is looking for an excuse not to believe in God, right, he'll find it. That's the famous, I think it's the Kutzker Rebbe's boy. If a person's a mamin, if he believes, all the questions in the world ain't going to bother him. And if you don't believe, all the answers in the world ain't going to help. Right? If a person goes with a preset, I don't mean people that are questioning to understand. There are certain type of people that question just to knock, just to challenge, that they already have a preconceived notion and they're not interested in learning. In other words, not interested in knowing what is right. They're interested in proving that they are right.
Does what you just said mean that Hashem gave the blueprint to the angels and they just carried out the game plan?
No. It does mean, I'll tell you one fascinating thing about Na'aseh Adam, let us make man. It means that man is a microcosm of everything in creation. Every trait of every animal, vegetation, everything is embodied within the human person, the human being. Let us make man. All of us will make him. All of us will have a piece in him. That's what I mean. And that has a profound significance in that why we can elevate, why Adam was made from Adamah, ground, the earth, dirt, that we have the ability to raise the very, foundation, the very lowest element. It's interesting. The name Adam means Adamah, ground, dirt, and it means Adam Kilian. I will try to be like God. Right? From the lowest to the top, right? It's represented also in Yaakov's dream, a ladder. Mutzav Arza. And the Rosh Shemayim. It's the ladder staying on the ground and the head of the ladder going into the sky. One of our purposes is to elevate creation. Elevate creation. Everything to physical. Oh, beautiful. Very good, Chana. Let us make man. Thank you very much. I forgot. Beautiful commentary. Let us make man. me, God says, me and man will make man, because man is never complete. We're continually making ourselves, right? Everything else, that's also true. Okay, that's also true, but, okay, the commentary I was going to tell you is that everything else, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, that's also true. But everything else has like an instinct. Animals basically don't have any free will. But the human being is the only person that it's still in debate. Like it doesn't say kitov by the making of man. It's still in debate. Is it going to be good or not? Let us make man. God and man make man. We have to continually make ourselves. Right? By the way, it's like fascinating. The way we look at things, the way the Torah looks at things are completely different. When we talk about this verse, chapter 1, verse 31, it says, Hinei Tov Noed. Kosh Baruch Hu saw that everything he did was very good. So the Medrash says on this, it usually says Tov, everything was good, Tov Mud. A lot of commentaries. What does it mean, very good? That in totality, right? I think, Shifra, you were saying once something like this, that certain things can be good in themselves, but in connection with other things, it's very good. They work in harmony. So there's kind of a little bit what you were saying, Chana. A person, male or female by themselves, good, but together, working together is very good. Okay, so there's that. Everything in conjunction. Medrash says a fascinating thing. You know what's Tov Noed? Death. I knew that'd wake you guys up. Tov Noed, very good. That's death. Yetzer Hara, all that concept. That's very. Why? It's very interesting. And this connects why the sin, the sin, right, of Adam and Chava, death comes in the world. Again, not so much as a punishment, but as a cause and effect. I'm going to tell you a fascinating insight, which everybody wants to know. How could they do it? Right? How could Chava do it? How could she eat the fruit? How could Adam eat it? What's going on here? These were great, great people who knew the spiritual effects of a sin and a mitzvah more than anybody, right? So one commentary I saw was amazing. That Adam did it on purpose. That he saw subsequent generations would not be on his level. And if they lived to be immortal, no death, they would never properly use the time to build themselves up spiritually. They would just never take the time seriously. And you see that it was true. I mean, it was still sin, don't get me wrong. But this is called a Havamina. This Havamina was very strong because you see that the lifespan of man was cut down to 120 years, God says, right? I think at the end of this Parsha or the beginning of Noach. Why? Because when they're living 900 years, they're not taking advantage of their time. They're not trying to perfect them spiritually. They're, like you take your health for granted. They just exist. They're not taking it seriously. Now that their lifespan is cut down, says the commentaries, I'm not going to be here forever. I better work on myself. I better build myself spiritually, right, for the next world. So that's like many of these great people, they have a similar thing about the sin of the golden calf, a similar thing about King David, the Gemara. This is the Gemara in tractate called Avodah Zarah. Okay. Anyway, it says that these people were not doing actions for themselves, which is, by the way, some of the discussion about the patriarchs and matriarchs. They did things because, being the root, the seed of the Jewish people, they were interested in our welfare. They could handle it. Adam and Chava could handle mortality. They were great. But they saw that we couldn't. The generation that built the golden calf, they were great. They didn't have a problem. They saw they had to open the door for tshuva. It's a big discussion, right? To give future generations a chance. That if like a precedent in a court, is there a precedent for this? Like we can get this guy off. Right? Now there's a precedent that here a whole nation could commit such a sin and still be forgiven. That opened it up like a certain door to tshuva for all generations, for all of Israel to protect us. So many times these great people do things only because for our benefit. So back to here, Tov Mi'od, that's death. That the fact that a person will eventually die makes them take this life seriously and build it. I know it's a funny, you think about it, it's hard for us to relate, but if you stop and think, if you're immortal, that is the tendency of a human being, to take things for granted. We would never work on ourselves. The same way, a Kadosh Baruch Hu built into the system of a person that when he's taste buds, he's hungry, or in marital things, right? That Kadosh Baruch Hu built in a desire for these things, because if it's not, it's that a person would never stop to eat, for example. He would just go on and do things, right? A Kadosh Baruch Hu built it. Okay, we have to eat for many reasons, to elevate creation, whatever it is, for many reasons. But death, too, for that purpose, that we take life seriously and build ourselves, that becomes something good.
So interesting, with that thinking that we reduced from like 900 years to 120 years, but now as the world has evolved, like 50 years ago, people were living longer than maybe their 40s or so. Now it's normal to live to maybe 80. So have we, gotten better? I mean, and now we're getting worse because
we need more time. I think we need more time. I don't know the answer to that question. Yes. There's a verse in Tehillim in King David's Psalm about 70 years, and the person's really a gibor, strong. He's given 80 years. There is such a verse.
Some of the men have a second bar mitzvah at the age of 80.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Okay. It's interesting. It says an author usually puts. You see this many times in the piyutim, in the, for example, certain things we say in l'chadodi and other things in our prayer service, that the initials of the author are written in the first three words or the first last words. Have you ever seen this? An acronym of their name is written there. Maybe authors do this. So Kadosh Baruch Hu also did this. Kadosh Baruch Hu's seal, if you will, is what? What's a seal? Chesem shel Kadosh Baruch Hu emet. The seal of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, his name is truth, emet. Okay, so it's interesting if you look at the first three words of the Torah, the last letters of those three words spell the word emet, not in sequence. Not in sequence. So that's interesting. Now, if you look at the end of creation with the Shabbos, when Shabbos comes, Shabbos came menucha, came with tranquility, the world got its soul. Right? The world got its soul on Shabbos. So, chapter 2, verse 3, again repeats these three words, Bereishis bara Elokim, right? Except now it's written, bara Elokim la'asos, and those last three words also spell the word emet in the right sequence. The last three letters of those three words. Because now with Shabbos, everything was in place. I'm simplifying a very deep mystical concept here, but that's basically it. The word that's used in chapter 2, verse 3, that Kadosh Baruch Hu built everything la'asos, to be done, that seems superfluous. It would seem almost redundant, like it's repeated over and over again. Someone caught it. Okay. So la'asos teaches us that this is the part where man is a partner in creation of God. Kadosh Baruch Hu created everything la'asos, to be done. We come, and that's one of the reasons, by the way, that you don't have fresh bread from the ground. You have to take it and do all the processes, right? What we call inventions are really rearrangements of we're just rediscovering things. If you look at Ecclesiastics, it says everything that was, has been, everything has been, was, it keeps saying all these things that confuse the heck out of us. But basically it means there's no new things in the world. Everything under the sun, nothing new. We just rearrange things. But this is what God wants us to do. Is God wants us to be a partner with Him in creation. So all these things, they're used obviously for the right purposes, right? Computers, whatever it is, these are all part of the ongoing process of creation. that we are partners with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The other thing also tells us is very important. What does it mean that Hashem created to do? That is even a loftier work than the actual creation of the world, is the continual supervision over everything. Machadish b'tuvo l'chol yom tam in mas Bereishis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu renews creation every day, and He continually watches over it and guides everything. The histories of different nations, everything that goes on is all by Hashkachat Pratis, all by HaKadosh Baruch Hu's personal supervision of the world. So that's what they say. He's not like a watchmaker who makes the watch and then lets it run on its own. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is continually involved in the destiny of man, of the Jewish people, of the nations, of the world, and every one of us in our individual lives and what we're going through. Okay, questions? Only by man, does it say, chapter 2, verse 7, only by man it says by Yetzer, and that word seems to be, again, spelled superfluously with an extra yud. That word is usually spelled with one yud, Vayetzer, which means to form. It's spelled here with two yuds. That only man was created with two Yetzers, like inclinations. It also means to form, it also means inclination, a good inclination and an evil inclination. And that's what makes us great, because that's the concept of free will, that we voluntarily, so to speak, choose to anoint, to crown HaKadosh Baruch Hu as our king and to do His will. And we have the ability not to. We have that, evil inclination. Yes. Chapter 2, verse 7. I'm sorry? Oh, there is something to what you're saying. I can't remember what it is. There is something to that. I think there is a connection. Yeah, there is. I can't remember what it is. There is something to that. Very interesting. The Hebrew language, many times we talk about it, describes the essence of the thing. That was Adam's greatness, that he described that he named the animals. Big deal. Who cares? He named the animals. He knew the essence, their mission, their whole tachlis, their whole purpose in creation. He named them by the name that describes that essence of what they're supposed to be. Every Hebrew word's like that. The word, for example, shamayim, right? Shamayim, which means heaven, skies. So break it up. Sham mayim, there is water, right? Sam mayim, like the clouds. Sam means to carry, carries water, right? Very interesting, by the way, when we talk about names, which in Hebrew means Hashem. Where did I see this from? Rav Hirsch. Rav Hirsch says brilliantly, Shem. Adam named everything Shem. He called them names, Hashem. So Shem is related to the word Sham. They're spelled the same. Sham means there. That's it. The name, that's it. Sham, there it is. That's it. That's what Rav Hirsch says is the connection. It defines where it's at, Hashem, in Hebrew.
Robertson, they call the three sons of Shem, Ham, and
Very good. We're going to say that next week. Please remind me. That encompasses everything that we're supposed to serve Hashem, those three entities. It's a very good question, but I want to say it for next week. Yes. This is all, the world's created with Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew language, and this is all Hebrew. In fact, until the Tower of Babel next week, there was no such thing as separate languages. And that's why you'll find many times in Spanish, French, Debbie, you'll have to tell that story after class. Debbie has a fascinating story about a certain expression in Hebrew, Hakol Baseder, everything is well. You'll find many times, many words in other languages have a relation to the Hebrew word, because that was the original language. Okay, and Adam also named himself Adam. I'm from ground, and then Hashem said, what am I? He says, you are the master of the world, and therefore the name Ado, and then Nai, right? The master of the world, which, it's important to know that with all of man's greatness and intellectual, insight, that he can name the essence of an animal, if he doesn't know who he is, and who he has to answer to, it doesn't mean anything. So that's why Kosh will say, okay, you named everything, now who are you? Who am I? Don't forget that.
The whole generation Noah was speaking.
Yeah, Hebrew, right.
that was the,
That was the original language, right? Until the Tower of Babel, there was not another language.
You say one word like a gun in Hebrew is a gun, and in
Right.
English it's a destructive gun to destroy.
Right. Oh, that's. I don't know if there's a relation there. It might be. I don't know.
Why? I'm just thinking, why is that?
That I don't know.
Rabbi,
Yes.
meaning of Chava.
Excuse me.
Chava.
Chava is from the word that is described in the Torah. Chava is from the word, chaya, life. She's the mother of all life. Actually, it's discussed why she was not called Chaya. That is a Hebrew name. There is a Hebrew name called Chaya instead of Chava, because it's related to. I can't get into it. If you ask me after class, I'll tell you about it. There's a specific reason why she was named Chava, not Chaya. Oh, here's that. Okay. We mentioned there's a verse here, chapter 5. It starts going over the genealogy of the different generations. I'm trying on purpose to pick certain things that we did not do in previous years. There's a verse that says, Zeh Sefer told us Adam. This is the book, the generations of man, and describes the genealogy. This is chapter 5, verse 1. So from here, the Gesher Chaim learns out that everybody writes their own genealogy, so to speak. Right? Like we have next week's Parsha. It says Noach. These are the generations of Noach, I believe. And then, what does it say? Noach each tzaddik. Noach was a righteous man. I believe that's what it says. Yeah, here it is. Doesn't seem to make sense. Elah told us Noach. These are the generations of Noach. So you expect him to list the children. Doesn't do that. Noach ish tzaddik. Noach is a righteous man. How's that a genealogy? That's the ultimate genealogy of a person, his righteous deeds. That's why Yaakov got so mad at Rachel. Rachel made a statement, give me children, if not, I'm like dead. And Yaakov says, no, don't say that. That's not true. You're a tzaddik, you're a very righteous person. Even without, your genealogy, your offspring are your righteous deeds. And he's done it. So here, Sefer told us Adam, these are everybody writes their own genealogy. By their actions that they do every day, they're continually writing their own book. Adam meaning every one of us. Every one of us write our own book by the actions that we do. Our daily activities are recorded, right? Like it says in Perkei Avos, Pinchas Patuach, the note is open, and Ayad Kutsavis, and the hand is writing. Look at ethics of our fathers. It says, we're continually writing out our lifestyle here. Writing our own little Torah. Very interesting. We have a person there, Hanoch. Hanoch was taken alive to heaven because he was a perfect tzaddik, and Hashem said, but he has a problem that he'll be influenced by his generation, which shows you how important it is to live in the right environment. Right? So I'm going to take him alive. It's a lesson for us that sometimes what we think is bad may be good. If you realize that there's two worlds, and the next world's eternity, so certain things that happen in this world won't bother you as much. Here, this guy did not live out half his life compared to the other people that lived in that time, 800-900 years. He only lived 365 years, and it was taken. So, he's a perfect tzaddik. If he sticks around, he's going to sin, right? Let me take him now, give him eternal bliss. It's a tremendous thing. People at the time, I thought it was terrible. He died so young. No. You got to remember that. How did Hanoch merit eternity? He was one of 9 people to go to Gan Eden alive. Listen to this. Hanoch, did he learn Torah all day? Maybe, probably. But it's not what the Medrash tells us how he learned, how he got to Gan Eden alive. He was a shoemaker. And with each stitch, he tried to put out the best product possible. He elevated a mundane job into a Kiddush Hashem. He sanctified the name of God by being honest in business. Trying to be a good person, put out a good product. That's all. That merited him to go to Gan Eden alive. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just a decent, it's interesting. Many, many ways to serve God in the world. You need them all. You need them all. Can't learn, you can't do chesed again. Be honest. Be a good person. smile, cheer someone up, whatever it is. Many ways to serve Hashem. Can't talk too much about that because Hannah gets upset when I talk too much about Musar. So we'll go on to some more. It says by Noach, by the way, towards the end of the Parsha, Zeh Yenachanenu, this, he will comfort us. The ground was cursed, as you know, after the sin, and it seems that it's amazing measures. Noach's until the time of Noach, fingers were not separated. There was like a web-like device, skin between the fingers. Tell me afterwards. I don't want to go into this evolution junk. Anyways, with the birth of Noach, fingers became separated, and farming implements were invented by Noach, and that's what it means. He'll comfort us. Part of that curse was taken away about working the ground. If you remember, the curse of working the ground, there'll be thorns and thistles. What the heck is a thistle?
It's a thorn.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, it's two words I never understood in the Torah: that murmur, and thistles. Okay. Huh? Right. Okay. Okay, guys, what's I am? This is a long Parsha. Anybody got a question while I look up something here? No? Someone asked a question. It's, I was saying, well, you can, I tell you why I'm not saying something about Eve, because number one, in previous years, I've talked about the sin in detail. Number two, I am not going to be trapped into any sort of political thing, with animals, vegetarians, women, all these, pet things in the political atmosphere today. Anything I can tell you about Eve, you probably wouldn't like it. Because the Torah says very specifically, the Torah, I could say that. Okay, but you just said it. But I'll be glad after class I'll stay for anybody who wants to ask questions. By the way, the first clothes of Adam, this is very interesting. What are the first clothes of Adam, just to tweak off the animal activist here? You said Rashi says there's two interpretations. By the way, it shows a tremendous love HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. Here, they sinned against him. And what's the first thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu does? Okay, they sinned. Now I need to deal with that. And he clothed them. Like a loving father. Okay, my children sinned. That's one thing, but now I need to take care of the situation on the level they're at now. They need clothes. So one measure says they were covered like a nail-like garment. Another one, Rashi goes on and says, those furs, like skins, bunnies, rabbits. Rabbit fur. No, rabbit. It mentions specifically Arnevet, rabbit furs. Rabbit furs could have been the first thing that a person wore.
I have a question about this. You said after...
Could have been worse, guys. Could have been minks.
That after they sinned, then they were on a different plane and they had to be clothed. So if you're on a higher plane, you can go around naked.
Right, exactly. There was no contradiction between body and soul. There was no reason to get to dress. If you don't think of any part of the anatomy any more than a nose and an ear, because everything is used strictly for sincere reasons, there's no reason to be embarrassed. Right? There was no contradiction between body and soul. They say they live like in a 2-story house. Spiritual world is on the second floor. This is the first floor, no problem. They go back and forth into a pure spiritual arena and back to a physical arena. They go back and forth, no problem. After the sin, body and soul became a contradiction. They realized that certain desires in the body and physicality and materialism, all these things could be used for non-holy purposes. And that's what we're wrestling with ever since. And that, there, you got to close your... Then you got to close. Interesting. The word for clothing in Hebrew is a beged, which is related to the word boged, traitor. Because we were, right? Sometimes also clothes can be a traitor. They deceive. What you appear to people by your clothes, you are what you wear, whatever it is, it's not necessarily true. Right? There's something to it. Okay. Okay. Everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I had something here that I wanted to tell you about. I lost it here. But everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is for our ultimate benefit. Again, like a loving Father watching over us. So here too, when it says, I'm going to wipe out man, right? I'm going to wipe out all living beings, right before Noach, at the end of the Parsha. This word of Hashem, as you know, different words of Hashem represent its different attributes, is the attribute of mercy. The Yud Hey and Vav Hey. The attribute of mercy of Hashem says, I got to wipe out, because that's an act of compassion. When it gets so bad, the immorality was so bad that, in particular, homosexuality got so bad here that they were licensing and made it a norm of society. Man and beast, and even the beast, even the animal kingdom was getting mixed up in these things. Then it's one thing to sin, but when society condones it as a normal thing, there's nothing wrong with it. That's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide to bring the flood, to destroy the world. That's the biggest act of compassion and mercy. You got to start all over again. I'm not going to elaborate how that relates to our time. Anybody with 2 cells to rub together, can put that together. The other thing is very interesting. It says the animals I'm going to wipe out too. So Rashi asked the question, what's going on? If man sinned, why does animals have to be wiped out? Very good. Rashi answers his own question. If there's no man, there's no animals. Animals are only here for the sake of man. Now, no one has more laws in the Torah about not having cruelty to animals, and all this other. But again, there's a balance. So here it is. Everything in creation is for our purpose to use it, not abuse it, but to use it. Questions? Yes. Excuse me.
Since there is an afterlife,
yes.
When you said that death is good, it's very good, but it's not death that's the problem, because you do live afterwards, so, the fact that you like that everyone, that's not a big deal, because there's an afterlife. It's the fear of death that was the new thing that made us, be good and make ourselves better over our lifetime on earth.
Very good. That's very, very good. That's very good. Yeah, depending on your mental outlook, there's really no death. It's just a transition from this world to the next. But the fear that you're not going to be here, like I always say, Ethics of Our Father sums up the whole thing very well. One moment of doing good deeds in this world is worth more than all the next world, and one moment of the spiritual reward in the next world is worth more than all the pleasures of this world. What makes this world great is that you can do things here. I'm going back to the beginning of the Torah. Bear with me. We're about 5 more minutes. Bereishis bara Elokim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, right? Bereishis means first. The first thing you got to know, right? This is who says this? Somebody says this. I'm not making this up. This is a Hasidic Rabbi. Masasov, the Rabbi Moshe Masasov says that the first thing you got to know when you wake up in the morning and keep throughout the day, Rosh Kol Davar, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the heavens and the earth. He is your creator. Now, that seems very simplistic, but again, there's a whole book written on these simple concepts. It's called, in English, Path of the Just, Mesilas Yesharim. Rav Chaim Luzon says, I'm not coming to tell you anything new. These are simple, basic things that everybody knows, but they're so basic that we forget about that they're fundamental issues. This is one of them. The person always focuses that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. In other words, He's running the show. And if I don't understand something, of course I don't understand. I'm mortal, and He's not. That's the first thing a person has to lock in his mind, and that's why the Torah opens up with that. If you go with that attitude, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created heaven and earth, and therefore He's running, He's controlling, I don't understand certain events, it ain't over yet. It ain't over yet. When it's all over, again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, outside of time, sees everything in totality, then everything will make sense to us as well. It says by Ki Toiv, after every day of creation, right? Except for Monday. Doesn't it? It does not say Ki Toiv then by the second day. Why? Does anybody know why? It doesn't say ki tov on the second day of creation because there was a division of the waters, the upper waters and the lower waters. And when there's machlokes, disunity, dissension, a fight, so to speak, that's not tov. You can't have ki tov, right? But there's a problem. This problem I'm telling you from my friend. There's a problem there. On the first day of creation, Yom Rishon, right? It does say ki tov, and there was a division there also. Right? You got it? Second day of creation, there was division. Machlokes, and like a division, like a machlokes, how they translate machlokes, like an argument, whatever, a difference of opinion, a division between the upper and lower waters. Division, machlokes can't say ki tov. First day of creation, it says ki tov, and there was a big division. What was the division on the first day of creation? Right? Between the light and the darkness. Right? So why does it say ki tov then? Understand the question? Okay? Okay. So, to answer this, we have a verse in Isaiah, Yeshaya, it says, Ve'emes v'shalom ehavu, that peace and truth, actually it says truth first, truth and peace will love one another. At the end of the day, they'll go together. So, we always learn, what's the most, the Nobel Peace Prize, the greatest accolade for a person is peace. Peace, anything for the sake of peace. We have in the ethics of our fathers. Oyev shalom v'reidev shalom. You should love peace and pursue peace, right? But this verse tells us the emes, the shalom. Kodesh Baruch Hu seals emes. That truth has to precede peace, right? We want peace at almost any cost, but there's one price we're not willing to pay, and that is that we can never compromise the truth. We cannot chisel away at the Torah, we can't chisel away at halakha. When emes and shalom, when truth and peace come to conflict, our sages tell us, pick emes, pick truth. Because because shalom of a perverted emes, it's just not worth it. It's not the type of emes, it's not the type of shalom we want. Right, it means nothing. You just go along with any, become a politician. The last Mishnah in the Talmud said, and this is in Uksin, it says the following. It says, Lo matzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu kli machzik bracha ela shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't find a vessel as good to hold the blessings of Israel as peace. There's no vessel as good as peace to hold the blessings of Israel. So it's very nice. We always learn that to mean that the greatest thing in the world is peace. That's it. Without that, right, you have no vessel to hold your blessings. Right? We all know that. A person can be rich and have, all the materialistic things and, wife, children, all these things, but he has no peace in his life. He's always fighting. It all means nothing. His life is a misery. Right? Okay, fine. But you have to be very medayik. You got to be very particular about these words. It says a vessel. Shalom is referred to, peace is referred to as a vessel. Right? It has to be receptive. That means it has to hold something. Right? It has to hold something. It's true that that's the vessel you want, but if you compromise emes, truth, you're going to have a vessel with nothing in it. You'll just have a vessel, empty vessel. You hear? So back to the second day of creation. What was that division? What was that argument, machlokes? It wasn't a division of bad and good. It was a division of waters. There's upper waters and lower waters. For whatever reason, not one's bad or good. So that was, unfortunately, it was a division that had to be made. So there's no ki tov there. You can't say ki tov because it's a division. You hear? But the first day of creation, there was a division, and it does say ki tov, because that was a division between light and darkness, between emes and sheker, between truth and falsehood. That's the metaphor of light and darkness, between good and evil. That's a necessary division. A necessary machlokes, ki tov. That's good. Okay? So we have to, in order to clarify, what is emes, what is sheker, what is truth, what is falsehood, what is light, what is darkness, what is evil, what not good, that becomes a machlokes that leads to peace. Okay, and that warrants a ki tov. So the bottom line here, sometimes we ask ourselves the question, do we have to always make such a fight about things, especially with some of our brethren who, don't adhere to Torah Halakha? I'm talking about not people that are trying to adhere to it, but the Beshita. Their goal is to uproot laws of Torah. Not that they just don't know any better, okay? So, wouldn't it be better to have shalom? Shouldn't we just go along? Wouldn't it be better to have unity? We all know how important unity is, right? Why do we always have to start up? Why do we have to make a machlekes, a division, a quarrel with these people? Just make peace. Go along. Isn't that the most valuable thing? So the answer, this is Rav Breuer said, the answer is in this verse of Isaiah, Va'emes va'shalom ehavu, truth and peace will love one another. Right, you gotta love shalom and pursue shalom, but make sure truth comes first. You cannot compromise the truth. The seal of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we open this class up with, the seal of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is emes, right? So when it comes to that, we're not allowed to compromise. When it comes to your own personal honor, that you can compromise, that you make peace. Emes, seal of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his Torah, that, we try to do it at darchi noyam, in a pleasant way, to explain things, but the bottom line is sometimes we can't budge. And the truth is, in the long run, that it will be the biggest act of peace. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Torah Media Atlanta. Won't you consider making a donation to help support this important work? Just go to TorahMediaAtlanta.com and click on the donate link. Thank you very much.